I was at a remote military outpost. The radio hissed. Encrypted static clawed through the bunker's silence. Then a voice slipped in, fragile, cracking under the weight of what it carried. "Dad, it's me." My hand froze above the console. Dust hung in the air, unmoving. I wasn't supposed to hear family. Not here. Not beyond enemy lines. A beat. Then the officer's voice broke through, trying to stay composed, but failing. "We found your son. Bus station, sleeping on a bench. He says his stepfather threw him out." The air thinned. I stared at the steel walls, cold sweat sliding down my back. My son, thrown away like trash? The commanding officer barked orders behind me. Extraction, coordinates, tactical maps. They thought I was still trapped, pinned in hostile territory. They didn't realize the battlefield had already shifted, because war wasn't outside the wire anymore. It was at my doorstep. And this time, there would be no survivors. I replayed the words, dissecting every syllable. Mom's new husband threw me out. Not our home, not your mother. He said Mom's new husband. A knife slipped quietly between ribs. How long had I been gone? How long had she built her new life while I was bleeding in shadows for a country that forgot me? I pictured her smile, rehearsed, too polished on video calls. The quick exits, the closed doors behind her when I heard a voice in the background. Low, masculine. I thought it was nothing. I wanted it to be nothing. But the bus station wasn't nothing. My son's voice wasn't nothing. The betrayal was complete. Not just replacing me, not just inviting another man into my home, but choosing him over her own child, over our child. The desert around me was silent, but inside, everything was screaming. Extraction came fast, helicopters, blacked-out SUVs, debriefing rooms with no windows. They asked about insurgents, positions, supply routes. I gave them everything, flat and precise. But my mind was elsewhere. At night, I scrolled through secure networks, piecing together her digital life. Bank statements, phone records, GPS logs. She hadn't been careless, but she hadn't accounted for me either, for the soldier who lived in patterns, who knew how to track footsteps even in sand. I found dinners billed for two, hotel rooms under an alias, calls answered only when my son was at school. And the man, her new husband, a neighbor, familiar face. He'd been there before I deployed, helping with groceries, fixing the fence, smiling too easily. My son had texted me once months back, "Mom laughs different now." I hadn't understood until now. I never asked him to send me proof. I didn't need photographs. I already knew. Still, I arranged the DNA test. Quiet, clinical. A swab from my son mailed under false credentials. A match against old military medical files. Waiting was the hardest part. But war had taught me patience. I could sit in silence for weeks, breathing through rage like it was oxygen. On the surface, I was stone. Inside, I was sharpening the blade. The envelope arrived without ceremony. One sheet of paper. A percentage printed in black. 99.9. My son was mine. No one could take that from me. But the rest, the lies, the silence, the betrayal, had to be accounted for. I walked into the kitchen, late evening, her glass of wine half finished. She looked up, startled, as if she hadn't expected me home this early. I placed the paper on the counter. No words. She read it. Color drained from her face. "I can explain." I shook my head once. Calm. I didn't ask. Her hand trembled against the counter. I watched her lips try to form excuses, defenses, bargains. All useless. I already knew everything. She knew it too. I didn't shout. I didn't break plates or slam doors. That would have given her power, made me human in her eyes. Instead, I opened my phone, pressed play. My son's voice filled the room, raw and cracking. Mom's new husband threw me out. She staggered, covering her mouth. Tears welled instantly. Too late. I let the silence crush her. Then I slid the signed custody papers across the table. Sign. She froze. You can keep your husband, your wine, your lies, but not him. Her tears spilled freely now, mascara streaking down. You can't just, I can. The law was on my side. The truth was on my side. And worse for her, so was the boy she abandoned. I watched the fight leave her body as the pen scratched across paper. Each stroke was a confession. Each signature, a funeral. Not mine, hers. That night, my son slept in his own bed again. His breathing was steady, his hands unclenched. I sat in the hallway, the dim light cutting shadows across the walls. There was no victory here, only truth, and truth was enough. I didn't call her. I didn't check if she cried herself to sleep in another man's arms. That part of me was gone. War had taught me one final lesson. You don't rage at the battlefield. You strip it, burn it, leave it barren. So I did. For the first time in years, I closed my eyes without listening for footsteps outside my door. The war was over, and she had lost. I hadn't come home from combat. I had brought the war with me, and she never saw it coming.